great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm ecstatic. I had an appointment this morning, and on the way home, it was kind of a long drive because everything is in LA here. So if you live outside of LA, you're driving hours. And I was listening to our podcast through the car driving home, and I just was getting so amped and so excited to record today. I couldn't wait.
Oh, I'm
So
glad.
yeah, just super happy. And even with the response that we're
It's
getting
been
out there.
positive,
So
right? It's been nice. I
yeah.
think our first podcast's only been up 24 hours or so, and we're already getting quite a lot of sort of positivity and kind comments. And so, yeah, as you say, it makes you amped to go again. So, yeah, stoked to be.
Yeah, it's exciting that like we're not the only ones that care, right?
Yes,
Like
yeah,
there's other people
exactly.
out there.
It's not just
Um,
like us nerds in a support group of two.
yes, and we're like, don't you want to listen to us talk about Station 19? No. So super excited, and even the logo. I love the logo that you and Julia did, and
Thank
everything.
you.
And I think I wrote in one of the yeah all the editing you do. So I want everybody to know you're behind all that. I just kind of come and
Oh,
talk.
thanks, Tiffany. No, we're a good team because you're like my hype woman.
Yeah, that's like your wingman, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So no,
Yeah,
we're a great team, and I'm just grateful to you for everything that you do. So thank you.
thank you. Um, but we are here because of season 6, episode 10, even better than the real thing. I failed. I do not have the writer. Do you know who wrote this one?
Yeah, it was Alexandra Fernandez, and
Okay.
she also wrote episode 13 of season 5, which was Cold Blue Steel and Sweet Fire. So it was the Candy
Mm,
Factory fire.
yep.
And it was the one where Natasha and Sullivan, we got their backstory as well. Oh, and it was the one that was the beginning of Maya's unraveling, because it was the one where Chief
Mm,
Ross told her, "Oh, I'm not getting your captaincy back, sorry."
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and of course Paris Barclay directed, and I mean, need we say more about Paris?
No. Always delivers when it's Paris.
The man, the
Always.
myth,
Every
the
single time.
legend.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he really is in tune with what the fans want slash need.
Yeah,
And he does a good job like balancing that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. He does all the boom bangs, and he's also really great with all the tender stuff. So
Yes. Yeah, that was a good way to put it. The boom bangs and the tenders. That should be the name of the podcast. The boom bang and the
not
tenders.
lasagna.
Yeah. Oh no, that's good too.
We'll get into it proper, I know, but as soon as she walked in, I was like, lasagna.
And it's so funny because, I used to live in Michigan, so I'd get to watch early, but now I'm on the West Coast, so I'd watch late. And I had went on Twitter to look up something, and literally it was like the 50 posts on my timeline where she brought her lasagna, she brought her lasagna, and I was like, what? She brought her lasagna? No, no, don't, no. And I was like trying to, and then I found myself like peeking at Twitter like until I was waiting for it to come on.
Oh,
So
no, that's
when
deadly.
did you when did you get to watch it? When did you
Um,
finally get to?
I didn't have access to it until Saturday morning, and then my fiance won't let me watch it without her. But
Um,
she was very busy doing like sort of composery things upstairs, and so I had to
yeah.
wait until she had like to, and I kept like going up and sticking my head in the studio, going, "Can we watch it yet? Can we do it yet? Can we do it yet?" And and we ended up in the end. She was like, "Oh, fine." So I ended up carrying my laptop upstairs, plugging it into my monitor because we share an office, and
Yeah.
then she was doing stuff and then swinging round on her chair. I'd be like, "Is Minecraft on?" And then she'd stop what she was doing and swing round on her chair, and then watch that scene and then go back. And then if she heard anything exciting, then she'd like swing her chair around again. So that was how I got to, got to watch it. I basically had to browbeat my fiance into stopping what she was doing. But yeah, we watched it on Saturday.
So, did you recognize any themes in this one?
I thought that maybe it was like like sort of control, like certain people losing it, some people gaining it. Like
Mm-hmm.
most people were spiraling and losing control. Beckett, no control over the drink, lost control of the fire. Jack doesn't know how to control or handle the relationship with his sister. And then no one's in control of the station. Travis isn't in control of his future. Karina's literally lost control over her body. um,
Yeah.
and then Maya, who is usually the one that's entirely out of control, is the only one that's taking any control over anything. And she's got some self control this week. So that was the only sort of thing that I sprung to mind. What kind of popped up for you?
I didn't really have much. I felt like the characters were all over the place a little bit in this episode. It was hard to me, the storyline between Marina is really kind of what cadenced the episode. The with Karina talking to Dr. Bailey, and then
Yes.
going back to the office a couple times. That was kind of the cadence of the episode for me. They tried to carry it with Clara and Brooke, which we can see the control a little bit with Jack not knowing if he should be the big brother or vice versa. But I felt like this one was all over the place because then they threw in the radio show at Andy's house with Eli and
Yeah.
Travis. So it was just like little random.
It wasn't necessarily the most cohesive
Right.
episode, but then maybe that kind of tells us where we are and where the team is at the moment. There's
Yeah.
like little fires everywhere kind of thing. um
Yes. Good way to put it.
yeah, so everyone's kind of got their own thing going on. Jack's in his sort of quagmire, and then Maya and Karina are in their thing. Doesn't know what he's doing. Beckett's going to burn the place down with his behavior, and Theo doesn't know what he should do for the best. Andy doesn't know what she should do for the best. Like, Vic's just giving everyone side eye. So I think maybe it did feel quite chaotic. It felt chaotic, didn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah. Yes.
But I think that maybe everyone, as I say, the only person that actually felt calm was Maya. And when she was on screen, everything kind of felt like it had been taken down a little notch, and it's just like
Hmm.
the energy
Hmm.
just kind of simmered down, and everything felt a
Yeah.
little bit more grounded, which is not what we're used to. But everyone seems to be in chaos, and everything seems to be in flux, except for Maya, who was just kind of chill throughout.
And I have that in mind. I mean, if we went through my notes like one by one, I have that a couple times for Maya scenes. But so do you want to discuss it in blocks, or do you want to do, because I wrote this one in bullet points just because it was so chaotic.
Okay.
How do you want to do it? How do you want to do it?
Shall we stick to the blocks just so that we're not as chaotic as the show?
Sure.
Cool. So shall we start with the sort of the big boom bangs then, and start with the training day that turned into an incident? So we've got Station 19 versus Station 88. And they're basically, although it's a training day, everything's competition when it's house against house,
Hmm.
right? So
Yep.
we've got a super testosterone fueled competitive atmosphere. And it turns out that the lieutenant from 88 is good buddies, pals with Beckett, because he was Beckett's probie. And he says that Beckett's the best captain that he ever had, which is interesting.
Very.
So there's sort of a weird tension because the lieutenant of 88 loves Beckett, and everyone else on 19 has a problem with Beckett. Vic calls him Captain Breath Mints. that that made me smile. There's a lot of kind of smack talk, and
Yes.
Lieutenant Cooper is not a good guy to his probie. They picked up on that a couple of times.
Yes.
So it seemed like, I know the word bully is strong, but he starts shoving him around when they're going into lineup. He's kind of shoving him around. Then later on, he literally won't let him talk. And 19 have to show him how to use the hose to kind of like help him to find his way out of a fire if visibility is low. And they're sort of really sweet and kind to him, and he kind of says that is not what he's used to at all. But yeah, Beckett seems kind of okay. He keeps pulling Cooper in to help him set up all the fires and explosions for the training day. But he's very protective over his drinks bottle.
Yes. Extremely.
And then obviously the training day turns into a live rescue when a big explosion goes off where it's not supposed to, injures Cooper. He's got a massive head lack, and they have to sort of run him off to the hospital. And Vic and Theo know that something's gone horribly wrong, and straight away that wasn't an accident, that was badly mishandled. And Vic has to kind of stop Theo from bringing it up right there and then. So it's all a big mess. And I noticed, did you notice? I've watched it back a second time. And after that exchange with Vic and Theo's basically saying in not so many words, Beckett's stuffed up, the camera flashes to Beckett and he checks his breath. He like breathes on his hand and checks his breath.
This is when they're at the training
When
facility,
they're at,
or
so
at
like the probie's like sitting on like getting oxygen and saying,
on
"Oh,
the aid cart.
Cooper saved my life. He saved my life." Yeah, and Vic and Theo are sort of saying, "Yeah, keep your oxygen mask on," and are talking amongst themselves. And the camera like pans over to Beckett, and he kind of I went back and checked again. I was like, "Did I see that?" And I think he's checking his breath. I think he's checking to see if anyone can smell booze on him. So I think that he definitely was drinking. That says to me that he was drinking. It definitely looked like he was checking his breath. So they get back to the station and everyone's kind of spinning out, and Andy tries to like chill things down, goes into leader role, says, "Look, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's just focus on the here and now. There's going to be an investigation. Let's just wait to hear what happens to Cooper." And then of course Warren and Beckett come from the hospital and announce that Cooper's dead. Right. Theo has a blow up and says that he's set dozens of those fire training things up before, and he knows that it must have been a huge mistake and it's down to Beckett's drinking. And he outright says to Beckett, "What's in that bottle? Why haven't you needed your breath mints lately?" And Beckett goes on the defensive, refuses to show him the water bottle, says he won't take a breathalyzer. Well, he ignores Theo saying take a breathalyzer, and instead says that he's going to threaten Theo with suspension without pay.
Without pay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay, guy.
Yeah, and then that was pretty much, that was almost the end of that, except for we did get a nice little scene. I actually really appreciated that scene. That felt nice as well. There was Andy and Sullivan in the kitchen making dinner together, and she says to him, "Are you okay? Do you need a meeting?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do, yeah." And it's kind of a nice kind of callback to their closeness and the trust between them, because you sort of forget that they were married. It was such a brief thing, and they've both moved on, and no one ever really talks about it, and they don't act like a divorced, couple. There's not any animosity there or anything, and that they almost sort of not ignore each other, but because they're not close, there's you do forget. So I thought that was a nice callback. And she says, "Can just between you, me, and nobody else?" And he's like, "Yeah, and just between you, me, and nobody else." And they both basically trust each other with their suspicions about Beckett and the fact that he is still drinking. And then, of course, we see Beckett throwing back the booze again.
Yep. Pretty aggressively as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we knew what was coming with Cooper dying, but...
Yeah. But I will say that he does look ashamed. It does look like he's fighting back the tears. He doesn't look as if he's in a good way.
No, he doesn't.
Understandably so. But the whole breath mints thing, I assumed all the way through that the breath mints were to cover up the alcohol. But the fact that Vic was saying, "Oh, he hasn't needed the breath mints for a while," and then Theo says again when they're fighting back at the station, he says to Beckett, "Where are your breath mints? We haven't seen your breath mints for a while." So I wonder if they're inferring that if he's not drinking, he's sucking the mints, that he transfers he transfers his addiction elsewhere. So then I need to go back and look then, because was it Maya then who really did start him drinking again, is the question. If he was sucking on breath mints that whole time, and it wasn't to cover up the booze, it was instead of the booze, and then she gave him the bottle, do we then see him quit with the breath mints? Are they now inferring that it was Maya that started him up again? Because I just assumed that the booze and the breath mints went together, but it seems like it's an either or. So I don't know whether
it could be. Yeah, it would be interesting to see the timeline and if the mints with Maya giving him the drink coincide with each other.
Yes, yeah. So that might be one to go back and have a look at. But Cooper says that Beckett is the best captain he ever had. So again, like, who was he before the booze? And do we actually question Cooper's judgment, actually? Because he's not treating his probie particularly well. So is he just not a great guy either? Or was Beckett a great guy, before all of this happened, and something bad's happened to him that's made him hit the bottle, and he's turned into, in his words, a monster.
And I know I wondered that too, like because they make him seem like this really cool guy when the lieutenant from 88 comes around, and we've only seen this kind of jerk.
Yeah.
And so it's like, did something happen? Was it the alcohol? Did something happen to make him drink, and that's what flipped him to be this kind of quote unquote monster? Or who's the Beckett that the lieutenant saw, and who's the Beckett that we see, and why? Like what caused
Yes,
that for sure?
exactly. And I think it would be really good to see that play out. I think it would be
Hmm.
nice. It would humanize him, and that's what we need. We need a bit of we
Yeah.
kind of had a glimpse of that when he was with his uncle, with Uncle Vinny in the last episode, and he was kind of
Yeah.
very sweetly saying, wasn't he, come live with me, and I think I said, maybe that's like the man under the disease, but the person that we see
Hmm.
all the time is the alcoholism, is the disease, not
Right.
not him. So that'd be nice to see that come into fruition and see a bit of backstory there and try and understand him a little bit more. But other than that, I don't think that did much else for anyone else. I think it was a vehicle for Beckett, obviously, to kind of have another downfall. And I also think that they're further setting Andy up to be the next captain.
Really?
Do you not think?
I don't know. I go between Andy and Maya.
I don't know if they'd give it to Maya, considering her
I know, but
ventures.
it's kind of like, I don't know. I very much think Andy's going to get it, and she should get it. But it's like Maya is working on so many things. You know what I mean?
Diane should endorse her. Be like, look, the
Um,
work we've done, she's the most stable person in the place. Give her the job.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is she's overcome so much to now understand and have a different conversation with Chief Ross.
Yes.
Watch the writers pull a just something completely out of nowhere and make Sullivan captain.
Oh
Watch that
God,
happen.
don't. But no, I think that they're setting it up for Andy, because Andy's, the one that kind of in the locker room when Theo's all shirtless and mad is like, look, we can't look. It's but when Theo loses his doo doo, it's bad, right? When because he's
Yeah.
like a little puppy dog. So if Theo, sorry, is mad at life, then things are bad in the station. But
Yeah.
when he's kind of all kind of surly, and Andy's the one that says, look, calm down, we can't jump to conclusions, we can't, and she sort of takes point, and she kind of tries to be the rudder. She tries to sort of steer the ship, steer the out of control ship. And then we've got Eli obviously in her ear every 5 minutes saying, well, you're the true leader of 19. And so
every 5 minutes.
yeah. So I think that they're kind of setting us up for Andy getting the captaincy. Whether or not I think that is the correct decision, I think that's where they're taking us.
Oh, and I can see it and agree with it on a level. I mean, I'm a Andy fan.
Yes.
I do think Maya kicked butt as captain.
She was an excellent captain.
She was, and she didn't get a lot of time to really get into that role. So I don't know. I would love to see Andy be captain, because we did see it at 23 when she got to step in.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to see Maya just get to finish her job. She didn't get to finish her job.
Maya bossed it. She did not make one bad call.
So. No, she was a great captain. So that's tough. That's why I think they're just going to be like, well, we can't pick between Andy and Maya, so let's just pick Sullivan.
let's just go with a man.
Which, I mean, no, do not do that, writers. Please pick Andy or Maya, because we will not cope well with that.
There will be a tantrum, there will be foot stamping, and there will be pouting. It might not look as cute as when an Italian does it, but there will be foot stamping and there will be pouting.
I cannot get my lip that I can't do it. I'm going to ask her to do it on demand at the con.
Oh yeah.
See,
and
I'll get a picture.
Books on that lip when she pouts.
You could.
Bless her.
I'm gonna ask her if she'll, when I get an autograph, if she'll record a thing that we can put on that says, "Make sure you check out Station 19 2020 podcast with Tiffany and Melissa." I'm gonna see if we can get her voice to say that.
I would die so happy, Tiffany.
I'm gonna ask her if she'll record it real quick for us, and if Danny's there, I'm gonna get her to do it too.
Oh, I'd die so happy.
So, okay. Well, I mean, I don't see her saying no. She does, because she doesn't. She writes her name on people's bodies for tattoos. So.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's commitment.
People have had her write the Italian "Go Shine Your Light, Bella" that she was speaking to Maya when Maya was laying in the bed,
Oh,
and people have gotten that, and they've had Danny write the "Love Yourself for Yourself," and they've gotten that tattooed in her handwriting.
oh, that's
So
sweet.
it is, but commitment.
Yeah, for sure.
So if she's willing to do that, we can get her to say a 10-second clip.
Oh, here's hoping.
So
Fingers crossed.
yes. Sorry,
No,
I went off tangent.
no, because that's well, now I can't get back on tangent because
Because you're thinking about Stefania.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
definitely not what's happening, Tiffany. Definitely.
Let's see. What do I have? Yeah.
With block 2, I've got as being the Jack, and we might as well get that out of the way, right? I mean, that was
Yeah,
something
because
and nothing.
that was a filler. It was total filler.
For a start, Jack says he's covering Montgomery on desk duty. But Maya's on desk duty. Why do we need Montgomery on desk duty and ergo Jack to cover him? If Maya's
Yeah,
on
I've
desk
never
duty,
seen I've never seen two on desk duty. That's the first time I've seen two of them on desk duty. It's
Yeah.
usually always one.
So
Yeah.
I understand that was just a vehicle for getting those two together, but can we be a bit more imaginative about it, please? Thank you. And
Take
then
notes.
Brooke and her friend walk in. Well, I say walk in. One drags the other in.
Brooke and Clara.
Looking very banged up, and they've obviously been in a motorcycle accident. But Maya, bless her, was like, "Oh, who's Brooke?" And her face, I was trying to figure out on her face whether the surprise of finding out that Jack has a sister is, wait, why did nobody tell me that Jack had a sister hurt, or where the hell have I been? Like, where's my head been at that I didn't even realize that Jack had a sister now? And I could, but the surprise, whether it was a mixture of the two,
I think it was this. I think it was the second one. I think she's starting to realize how much she missed because of where she was at.
Yeah,
for sure.
But poor lamb. Anyway, they take they take Car Crash 1 and Car Crash 2 to the barn. And start cleaning up all their cuts and grazes. I mean, they're clearly intoxicated from the way that they're acting. So it's no surprise when it turns out they've been eating pot candy. And then Jack's face, like he's chewing wasps at the thought of his sister doing drugs. And it's like, excuse me, guy, aren't you the one that was chasing painkillers with beer with hard liquor and got so
you were popping pills with the widow.
Got so smacked off his face on Halloween that he was seeing his lover's dead husband's ghost dressed as a pirate all the live long day. But the pot candy he has an issue with.
That's so funny because I totally forgot about that when she gets the little pills out of the little Ziploc bag. And at least she's doing gummies that are legal, not somebody else's pain pills that you got out of somebody's underwear. Like, come on, Jack.
Exactly. So he goes into dad mode, into protector mode, and Maya starts handing out advice that she could have been taking for herself for a number of years, which is that you don't have to pretend you're not hurt just so people think that you're tough.
Yes.
I think that actually she kind of gets that now for the first time. I think she can finally say that with a little bit of conviction.
For sure.
And then Clara, who was riding the motorcycle whilst high, then promptly collapses in Maya's arms because she's got internal bleeding. So all their protestations, if we can't go to the hospital, we'll get in trouble. Well, tough, you go in now.
Yep. Now you have no excuse, no reason. Yep. There was that moment, and then even in the aid car when they're driving the aid car back to the station after they drop her off at the hospital, Maya was just dropping bombs of advice where I was like, look at Maya giving really good
wisdom
relationship advice. Yeah, for sure. So that was cool to see.
But I think the one moment, it just could have been this scene, to be honest, and it would have got us to the same place. But when Jack's got his sister in the back of the aid car and he's been working on Clara and he's got her stable and he's saying to his sister, it's fine, you don't have to freak out. And she says, I'm not freaking out. And he says, no, not on the outside. And he said, neither do I. But there's a hurricane going on the inside when things start to go wrong. And she says, Yeah, same. So I think that, it's nice for Jack to actually have a connection with somebody, and to
Mhm.
have someone truly understand him, and for him to be truly understood, because everyone empathizes with Jack and sympathizes with Jack, but nobody gets him. He doesn't really have like a person.
Yeah.
Everyone has their person except Jack. And so I feel like Jack feels like he's now got the glimmer of having like a person who's just his. So that was nice. And to your point, when they were in the coming back in the aid car, Maya and Jack, I did quite like that as well, because we actually got a little bit of old Maya back, of like her kind of
Yes.
the way that she used to back in like season 1, because season 1 she was just funny. Season 1
She
she was just
was. Yeah.
hilarious. And like, and she would kind of have these like really sarcastic exchanges, mostly with Jack, actually, like, oh, you're so hot, yeah, you get all the girls, and like, all this. And it felt like that again, like that sort of almost like sibling-y kind of ragging each other, but in a nice way, between the
Hmm.
two of them, and she said, "Oh yeah, she just turned up high with a mild head trauma. That's it. She just turned up high with a mild head trauma, just to take pictures with the pole, kind of thing." And it felt like just more relaxed and more chilled out, and it got a little bit of their dynamic back as well, their
Right.
old
Yeah,
dynamic.
because they have their own whole dynamic from season 1, 2, going into 3,
Yeah.
when she had the affair. So yeah, huge dynamic there.
So I did quite like that. And then, as you say, like she rounded it all out with, dropping a few wisdom bombs, just
Yeah.
ease into it. Don't do anything that either one of you's uncomfortable with. And, so that was a nice scene. That was kind of a bit of a filler, I think. That you said it. You said that rightly. But there's not very much Jack in this episode. And also, I don't think the writers really know who Jack is.
That's a good thing. That's a good. They don't. It's like they're making it up as they go, right?
That's how it feels. I don't think the writers have
Yeah.
any idea who Jack is.
Yeah.
It felt like that this episode. I mean, maybe it's valid because Jack doesn't know who Jack is. I mean, he says in the aid car, on the way back, right, that he basically doesn't know who he is unless he's fixing things. Like when he was in foster care, he was the protector. He was the one that would stop people bleeding and would steal food, and that was very much like his role, and that he doesn't know who he is outside of that role. So maybe that's fair, that the writers kind of don't know who Jack is if Jack doesn't know who he is. But I think they're going to have to make a decision about that quite soon.
Yeah, like sooner than next week or this. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like sooner than before they walk into the writing room, because it does seem
exactly.
like they're
It's
throwing anything they can at him.
Yeah, it just seems a
Yeah.
bit floundery with Jack, and a bit all over the place. He doesn't really seem to have any direction or any like, and his personality seems different like week on week as well at the moment. So,
I agree.
and the only other thing that I would say about that little segment is maybe we get a little bit more insight into Maya's mind, because she takes over in the barn and says, "No, I'm the lieutenant. I'm in charge," and she's still making really great decisions and taking control of the situation, and is giving out some great advice to Jack. But other than that, I don't think that like block did much at all.
No, it didn't. So yeah, that ended that block. What do you have for the next block?
Well, I had the next sort of thing down to discuss as Travis and Eli.
Yeah, that was a filler too, though. I think a lot of funny dialogue, a lot of inspiring dialogue. You know, what Travis kind
Yes.
of he figured himself out, I think, on how to answer questions there.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a good block as well. I wrote down for that block that it was kind of creepy to me how Eli was snooping in each room, like with the boxes and
I
looking.
didn't think he was that creepy. Like,
Okay,
I,
what did
I,
you
I
think?
well, I thought. I mean, I thought it was hilarious how thrilled he was to find out that he was in
Yeah,
Andy's apartment. He was like, "Where are we?" Andy's apartment. He was like, "Ding!" His little eyes
yeah,
lit up.
yeah.
This is Andy's place. But I actually thought he was quite restrained. Like he was,
Okay.
he was just kind of, gingerly kind of looking. Didn't just, like go right in rooms and start
Yeah,
rifling
yeah.
through drawers. It was just a very kind of trying to keep it chill, trying to keep it subtle, but also just trying to have like edge round what's behind this door.
Yeah, like
So
peeking around the corners. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I didn't think he was creepy. I just thought, you remember, like, maybe you remember, I just about remember, I've been with Julia for 14 years, but I just about remember what it's like when you like first have that little crush,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
everything about that person is so exciting and so fascinating, and like you do just kind of want to look at everything and absorb everything. I just thought it was kind of cute, like because he is I mean, he acts like a public schoolboy anyway, but he is literally just turns into a little schoolboy, and I just thought he was, you know, just being a nerdy dweeby, like cute little kind of, I didn't see him as like stalker material. I just thought that he was being like desperately uncool,
yeah,
just
yeah.
completely unable to keep his cool.
That's so funny.
So yeah, I just found it amusing rather than creepy, really. But and then we find out that there's a third candidate, because it's all just been like head to head Travis v
Yes.
Dixon, but now we know that there's a third candidate who's also a councilman. That's possibly interesting. That might give Travis a bit of an out, maybe later on.
I wondered that too, especially when he goes back at the end of the episode after he finds out that Cooper died to be with his team. And he's
Yes.
like, I may be trading in my uniform in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
when, or a couple months or whatever. And I thought, well, behind the scenes, we're seeing him as a firefighter still now. So have they just not filmed the election yet, or does this third candidate that we just heard about take over? Because please
Yeah.
don't make it Dixon. Please just don't.
Oh
That's
God,
not
no.
an option. So yeah, I wrote that down too as like a like a
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, but he shows his naivety, doesn't he? Because he starts like the first, straight out of the blocks. He's like, "Well, let's give clean needles to drug addicts,"
Yeah, yeah.
which which always goes down well, doesn't it? But the way that he kind of Eli holds up his little sign, "Stop talking," but instead he kind of turns it around like a pro and says absolutely the right thing, which is,
Yeah.
that we all have to coincide. We know we can't change it. We just need to make it better for everybody. We're all part of this chain. And so, we just need to make the chain as strong as possible. So good on old Trav. I noticed what a mess this is. This tells you kind of what kind of person I am. The first thing I noticed was the mess that they made in Andy's apartment. I was
They
like,
did.
look what those
Everywhere.
disgusting boys have done
Yeah.
to that beautifully kept home. I counted 8 takeaway coffee cups. Also, what are you doing with 8 takeaway coffee cups, guy? Come on, think of the environment.
Well, and we don't
But
see Andy's apartment that much. Because when he said Andy's apartment, I was like, ooh, because we don't see it that much, and it was so
no,
well kept. So for them to just come in and just everywhere, I
just
agree.
put all their man mess everywhere.
Yeah.
So Travis, bless him, seems emotionally and physically exhausted. But then we get a montage of him actually kind of really kind of getting into it. And he has like his little mic drop moment where he says, "Don't think about what I'm missing. Think about what I'm offering."
Yes.
And he says that he knows what Seattle needs because he's lived it. He hasn't watched it from the window in an office. And it's just like, go on, Trav, son.
No, he killed that day, that radio PR day, for
Yeah.
sure.
And he only had 7 more to do at that point.
Yeah.
So
He was like almost teary eyed. He was like, I need more coffee.
I need more coffee.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, I think we covered most of it with Travis and Eli. Again, that just didn't seem like much of a. It didn't feel like it got us anywhere particularly,
No.
except for right at the end when the radio host says, "Oh, by the way, the latest polls show that you're neck and neck with
Yeah,
Dixon and pulling ahead from the third guy."
for
And
sure.
Eli is absolutely thrilled, and Travis looks terrified. And then, as you say, he heads back to the station and just starts cleaning down
Yeah.
the engines. And I thought it was interesting when he said he kind of identifies himself as a firefighter. He says, "I am a firefighter." But then when he talks about being mayor, he says, "But I'll be putting a uniform on. I'll be exchanging one uniform for another." But he identifies as a firefighter, but sees the mayoral role as like almost like a costume. I
Yeah.
thought, I thought that the way that was written just said that he doesn't see it as part of his identity. Like his heart's not really in it.
No, I agree. The way he said it was very much that it's not part of who he is, who he
Yeah,
identifies as, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it kind of reminded me of when uh, the chief kind of picked him out and said, "You're ripe for promotion."
Yeah.
And he says, no, that's not me. I'm not a manager of people. I know what my role is. I know who I am, and I'm good at this. This is what I'm good at. This is what I like to do every day. And he also said at that point to her that he doesn't want to be the person in charge of like other people's lives. He doesn't want to be responsible for other people's lives. And if you're in government, I
Uh-huh.
mean, that's you're you're in charge of all of the lives.
Yeah, like that's the job, guy. Like
Yeah.
that's your role.
So
That's your one job.
yeah. So I know that he was kind of, in that moment talking to the chief, he was talking about sending firefighters into burning buildings, but it's the same situation. If you're going to be in government, you're literally going to be making all of the decisions for all of the people all of the time. So I think we know that Travis isn't really emotionally cut out for this. I think in all the other ways he's got it, but Travis is not a good like emotional fit for this. And I'm kind of hoping that they've put this third candidate in there as a way for Travis to extricate himself from the situation, because maybe, you know what, maybe Eli is right. Maybe Travis is stupid and noble, because he went into this quite naively, like someone needs to stop Dixon from winning. Oh, I'll do it. and
Yeah.
and now he's got himself in a predicament that he can't see any way out of at the moment, I don't think.
No, I agree, and I honestly hope that they use this third candidate for a way out for Travis because
Yeah.
it's not him. His heart is in the right place, but it's not. We need him at the firehouse anyway, so
Yes.
um, it's just not for him. But
Because who else is Vic going to pick on if not
you can't take
if
that
not
friendship
Travis?
away. You can't take that
Exactly.
friendship. You just can't. I
Exactly.
mean, it's just like Marina. You can't take Vic and Travis away. I don't know what do we
No.
call Vic and Travis? What do they call that? Um,
Travic? I don't know.
Travis, yeah, Travic.
Did I just make that up? I don't know. They should
I
call
don't
it
either.
Travic.
They should. We need Travic. Okay.
There we go. There we go. Done. We've just coined it. Done.
Okay.
Okay. Well, and then we finish out with Eli handing Andy her keys back, well, lobbing them across the room at her, which is the most manly thing that he's done since he entered the show. But
What and what else happens in that scene?
oh well, they might share a little smoochy smoochy.
Little one, just a little bit.
But he gave her a really nice pep talk. To be fair, like I mean, I think he
So
earned a little smooch.
I actually want to talk about that. So this question came up when I saw the preview for next week because I
Okay.
feel like she took his advice to
Yeah.
heart in the preview for next week.
Yes.
Did you agree with the advice he gave her?
Yes. And I think that she needed to hear it from him as well. She needed to hear it from someone on the outside, because I think that she's too close to everyone in 19. They've all known each other too long. They're a family. And so I think that you either have a tendency, like with your close friends and the people that you love, to either hype them unnecessarily, because you love them and your feelings for them cloud your judgment. And so then that gets reflected back at you. So if, my best friend or my fiance or someone says, no, 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 you should definitely do that. You're the best one for it. You're brilliant for it. Go for it. I just think, yeah, but you have to say that because you love me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're saying
And
that just
so,
yeah.
or you get the flip side of that is that people that have known you for years and years and years don't necessarily see who you are now. They might just see you as the person you were 5 years ago, and
Yeah,
therefore
for
you
sure.
might be capable of something now and right for something now that you weren't capable of right for those 5 years, and so they might overlook you for that. So I think that she's got that dual problem at the station, that I think maybe somebody, maybe like a Sullivan, maybe would see her as not being the right person for the job, and she might see the other members of the firehouse saying you are the right person for the job being, sentiment over practicality. So I actually think that she needed Eli as an outsider to say, no, no, you are the right person for this. You're not
Yeah.
the mild peacekeeper. They do need, someone to rudder the ship. They need a firm hand. That all this neutrality is not getting anyone anywhere. It needs someone to step up, and you're the person to step up. So because I mean, is he saying it because he fancies her, or does he fancy her because that's how he sees her, and so there, and he finds that attractive in her,
Yeah.
you know? But I think it's good for her to hear it from somebody who's not part of 19.
No, I understand and agree. It just made me nervous when I saw the preview for next week because she might have taken it a little bit extreme, um, and what the consequences of that will be. But as for the kiss at the end, we all knew it was coming. I was yelling at my TV. Um, I was yelling, "Just do it already, Eli." Um, I'm not saying I liked it. I don't know. It almost looked like two best friends kissing to me, which is always
Really?
awkward. Yeah, I don't know. On the live that I was doing, a lot of people were saying that he had better chemistry with Travis, and they thought that kiss was going to happen between him and Travis.
Oh no. I mean, I know
Um,
that Eli's camp, but that's just because he's posh and English. Like all posh English men are a bit camp. He's a public school boy. They're all a bit camp.
okay, so you could maybe see that happening too. Maybe that's why he came on because he has a crush on Travis. Anyway, I don't know. I liked it because it was spicy. Andy made it spicy, but I think it's because I'm not sure about Eli. I'm just not sure about him yet. I'm not. So, but we knew it was going to happen, so it happened, and that's it.
I still think his heart's in the right place. And he said he'd asked around. He knows that she
She
likes
likes
dancing.
dancing.
He wants to take her dancing. That's not going to go well. English men can't dance. We are born with no rhythm.
That's so
So
funny.
we
Okay,
have
well
absolutely
we'll
zero
see.
rhythm. But yes,
Maybe
but
maybe on the date I'll like it a little bit better. Maybe I just need to see, just see it. I need to see him put a little bit different effort. It's been very flirtatious effort up to this point.
yeah,
I want to see
yeah.
him kind of try to woo her a little bit.
I think he wooed her a little bit in the equipment room. I think that, and she actually asked for his advice. She made a joke out of it and said, are you if I tell you I don't want your unsolicited advice, are you going to shut up? But
Yeah,
she actively engaged him in that conversation.
sure.
She wanted it. So
Yeah.
I think she likes him, and Andy deserves to be happy. All power to her. If a skinny, campy little English public school boy is going to do it for her, crack on.
Then who knew, man?
He's no Italian doctor, but hey, what are you going to
He's no fire zaddy either. We'll just say
do?
that. It's got to be the
Oh,
accent. That's it. It's got to be the accent.
we all have an accent. And
Yep.
talking of accents, shall we hit up our Italian doctor? Be sure to check out part 2, where we talk tantrums, hotel bathrooms, and exactly what she did to that lasagna.